Yo, what's going on, everybody? It is 1 p.m. here in Chicago, Illinois. That means it's time for another live stream. Today is Friday, August 6th, 2021. It is the day of the Women's Olympic Marathon. I'm super excited. And we already have someone helping me out with time zone adjustments. I knew that they moved the marathon an hour up earlier to better deal with the heat. But Frank's coming in hot saying they moved the marathon start time up an hour because of the temps. Women start at 4 Chicago time. That's the kind of time zone information I need. I love when I look up stuff on like Google, because when you ask something on Google, like what time is like some time zone, they'll tell you it is like 4 p.m. where you are. So they'll be very specific, and I definitely appreciate that. So thanks, Frank. That's where I'll be. Well, I'll try to be. We'll see if the family is willing to cooperate. I want to be watching that marathon because I am super, super excited for it. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. And the men's marathon is tomorrow in the afternoon as well, because they're going to start getting early start too. So super fun. I love prime time. Well, it's not quite prime time, but prime time for me because, I go to bed early. So am I back? Here I am. Sorry about that, guys. Yeah. So anyway, I'm super excited about watching the marathons in the evenings. If you want to make it a spectator sport, put it at spectator times. All right. Now, let's say hi to everyone listening in on the podcast only version before we have any more technical difficulties. I do want to welcome you guys. Hopefully, you guys are having a good run and no technical difficulties when you're out there getting in your miles. And everyone watching this on YouTube after the fact, but not live, welcome to you guys as well. Hopefully, it's a time of your day where you have a nice recovery beverage. I've got a nice afternoon coffee, and I desperately need it. I don't desperately need it, but I am very appreciative for it because I am just tired today, and I am loving some coffee right now. All right, let's see who else we got in the chat here today. Luis Becerra's here, says, yo, what's going on? Leona says, happy Friday, CoFam. Happy Friday indeed. BC says, first time watcher. Welcome, BC. I would like to say that, these technical difficulties and these glitches and me getting out of focus here, stuff like that is not normal, but it's pretty par for the course. I've been doing this a long time. It's not going to get any better. I think I'm just resigned to that. So thank you for putting up with the technical difficulties and welcome. All right, Garrett says, what's going on, Garrett? Anyone catch the 50K race walk? Insane that people can walk that fast. 7:43-minute miles. Yeah, it was Josh Cox tweeted out today, the sports mega agent. And I guess a lot of triathlon people in his Twitter feed were starting to rag on some of the race walkers. It seems to be, I like making fun of Olympic events, but I feel like the Olympic event that a lot of people love to make fun of is race walking. And that's not one that I'm all that interested in kind of teasing. I think it's pretty amazing event. I don't have any ambition to do it. I just don't like, my hips don't move like that. So I think I would just be instant injury if I did that. But he put a challenge out to anyone, any triathletes that were out there making fun of the race walkers to compare their Ironman marathon times against the race walkers 50K times in terms of pace. So I thought that was pretty funny. But I was just watching something on the NBC Sports app on the Apple TV, all non-sponsored. But that's how I watch it. And the clip was just about like all the penalties that were in I don't know if it was the 50K or the 20K, but they were just showing those penalties. And like, yeah, I guess there's a lot of penalties. It looked like a lot of people were not exactly race walking. So like, I don't feel like they were just giving out like ticky tack fouls. I feel like they were like, people were just really going for it and not always sticking to the rules. But the main thing that I was watching that clip for was the heat. Man, people look like they were cooking out there. And that's the kind of temperatures that they're going to be dealing with for the marathon tonight or tomorrow for Tokyo time. Or I guess in a couple hours from now, not tomorrow. But yeah, time zones are weird. I never quite understand them. All right. But yeah, that race walking, pretty intense. All right. Yo, Vincent Venera says, yo, happy Friday, friends. Emma's here as well. And we got Ines says, hi, Kofuzi and everybody. What's going on, Ines? JC says, howdy and happy Friday. Emma says, what's going on? Happy Friday, y'all. Sarah Mims is back, says, hi, all. And Thomasville says, yo, what's going on? Rob L's got a question. Says, happy Friday. Quick question. How did the Apple Watch do for your marathon? Did it last? Worried that my slow pace won't live through the entire marathon. I found that on a marathon day, I can get 5 to 6 hours from my Apple Watch. And this was back when it was a bit newer. And so like within like the first year, I would say, is about how well it did for me. So if you're going to be spending a lot of time like listening to music as you're warming up, if you're going to get to the race early and like use that to listen to music as well, like you might want to kind of spare the watch a little bit and save it more for the race. The other thing that I ran the Indianapolis Marathon with the Apple Watch, and I don't remember if I ran the Tunnel Marathon with an Apple Watch too, but I definitely ran into an issue with running with the Apple Watch at the Indianapolis Monumental Marathon. And that was that, like, as I was running, it was like jostling around on my wrist. And so I started freaking out because at one point I looked down and it was asking me to enter my PIN. So for those of you who aren't familiar, when you put the Apple Watch down, when you put it back on, it asks for a PIN, kind of like when you like log into a phone. And I was looking down and it was asking for the PIN. And I thought, oh, did it just lock me out of my phone? Is it still tracking my marathon? It was still tracking the marathon. But every time, like not every time, but there was a stretch of time where like I wanted to just glance down at my wrist to see where we're doing for pace, just get some quick information. And I would have to I had gloves on because it was a colder marathon, figure out the gloves, try to work it with the gloves. Maybe it didn't work with the gloves, take the gloves off and then type in my numbers and then look at the Apple Watch. So that was like a little bit of an issue too. And that happened though. I mean, if it's never happened to you before, then it probably won't be a problem for you in the marathon, but it does something. That's something that happens to me somewhat regularly when I run with the Apple Watch. I think it's just no matter how much I cinch it down, it gets loose and then it just feels like it got disconnected from my wrist. So, all right. Philip says, yo, what's going on? 5K with Laura the dog after work. I think I popped the air pocket in my right peg 37. Sounds like a squeaky toy now. Did it distract the dog? That'd be amazing if the dog's just like, is it just me or is someone squeaking a toy today? Like that. I don't know why. That makes me laugh so much. But yeah. So that's crazy. But I ran today in my custom Peg 38s, the Nike For You ones, because I got my regular Peg 38s yesterday. That's what tomorrow's video is going to be about. And there is a big difference. So as I suspected. So I'll talk about that for tomorrow. But it's not a popped air pocket. So there's no squeak. That's in there, So like I've never had it squeak before. Even on really, really old pegs that I've run in. I mean, granted, the Zoom Air in a 36, 35, 34 are very different than the ones that are in the 37 and 38, but I've never had a squeak before. That's interesting. All right. Let's see. Who else we got here? Super Small says, anyone catch the sports climbing finale? Tried to record it, but it was ping pong. I tried to watch it, like it was on just now, or like at least it showed up in the NBC Sports app a little while ago as still going on. So I haven't caught the end of that. But yeah, we've been watching this with the climbing. It's been fun to watch that. But I don't know the finish. Jersey Rich says, Yoko, last day of isolation, freedom tomorrow. Awesome. Did manage 67 kilometers on the treadmill. That's a lot of time on the treadmill. Martha says, hey everyone. Hey Martha, how's it going? And James Edward said, we made it to another weekend. Congratulations, co-fam. Awesome. One of my friends, I mean, there's like 2 Twitter accounts that are called Ladies and Gentlemen the Weekend. And one of them is Daniel Craig on Saturday Night Live saying, ladies and gentlemen, the weekend. And then the other one is, I forget her name. I think she was on Community saying, ladies and gentlemen, the weekend. And like my friends, people that I follow on Twitter, someone will post that every weekend. So I see that every single weekend. And for some reason, I like it. I find it comforting. All right. Super Smoke says, hi, have you reviewed the Hoka Bondi? I mean, you know what? I think they forgot to send me the Bondi X and the Rincon 3. They were supposed to send it to me in Iowa back when the announcement was made like a month ago. It wasn't a month ago. It was like 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. So I think they forgot. I think the people that were supposed to send me the Rebel 2, which is different people, and the RC Elite also RC Elite 2 also forgot. Sometimes it happens. It's summertime, you know. People are trying to get in and out of the office. Maybe things fall through the cracks. But yeah. I want to review the Bondi X soon because I feel like putting the on this Cloud Stratus, the Deviate Elite, and the Bondi X in the same category to me makes sense. I'm wondering if does the Carbon X2 fit in there? I'm not sure. It might. I'm not sure if it fits in there or not. So but these are shoes that aren't super speedy but have some bounce to them, some rigidity to them. Aren't super squishy but are tall stack height. So yeah, I mean, I reviewed the Bondi 7. I don't think there's a Bondi 8 this year. My understanding is there's still going to be more Bondis, but I haven't seen a Bondi 8. Maybe I'm wrong on that. But either way, I don't think I'll probably review a Bondi 8 and a Bondi X. I'll probably just review one of the two. Sarah says, watch Ed Bud like the Nike Vamero 16 and 40 runs. Did not. I'm not familiar with Vamero. Is this just another daily trainer like the Peg? No. So the Vamero is weird now. It used to be Nike's take on a max cushion shoe, and it wasn't really that much max cushion. It just had a little bit more cushion than the Pegasus did, but used very much like a Pegasus is supposed to be used. The Vamero, what was the last one I looked at? I think I looked at the Vamero 14. That one was the first time the Vamero really switched. And the Vamero went from, I believe it was Cushlon foam, but then it switched to all React foam. And it was the first Nike running shoe or quote unquote real running shoe that had React foam in it. Because the Epic React had come out and people were excited about it, but they're like, this is a casual shoe because it looks awesome. And it didn't have as much rubber on the outsole as people wanted, myself included, although I was wrong on that. But then we had a regular running shoe, the Vamero, with all React and a rubber outsole. And it was great. I really enjoyed that shoe. It had some weird quirkinesses to it. It was cut really low around the ankles. It fit kind of weird. But as a running shoe, I thought it was great. Then the Vamero 15 was supposed to come out last year. It was supposed to be a combination of React foam and ZoomX foam. And this was before the ZoomX Invincible came out. So we were like, ooh, another shoe with React and ZoomX. Give us the ZoomX. It was like, we're not getting another turbo. So give us this Vamero 15. But I think what happened was there were some production issues. So there was a small UK release. I think it was just the UK and maybe some places in the EU. But the US never got it. For the US, they were just going to skip right over to 16. I'm not sure what they've changed to the 16 compared to the 15. I'm just my guess is they made some sort of corrections to make it so that they would work around some of the production issues. That's my absolute guess, just wild speculation. Was there something about the original design in the 15 that made it really hard to make? Well, let's just remove that part and put more React foam rather than the ZoomX foam in this section of the shoe or something like that. That's my guess. I don't know. I haven't heard anything specific about it. But the Vamero 16 is supposed to get a worldwide release, and I'm pretty excited about it. So I saw that it was on sale. It's another one of those shoes where I'm like, oh, another shoe. I'm just so behind on shoes this year. I've been distracted from my regular shoe reviewing, I guess, with steeplechase and doing more trail running and triathlon training. I'm just not running the miles that I used to. So I'm really behind on shoes. But the Vamero 16 is one that I'm very excited about. Hopefully I'm expecting to really enjoy it. But that's just, that's my kind of those are the presumptions I have going into it. So we'll see. All right. Sorry, that was a long rant on the Vamero. Let me catch up to some of you guys in the chat here. Mika Kataya says, hello all. Toying with the idea of picking up the Ultra Escalantes as a casual shoe and something I could take with me to run while traveling. Love to wear light, but quite cushioned shoes all day. I think that's a pretty good choice. I think that the Mach 4 and the Nova Blast also are really good choices for. I just love both of those shoes so much. The Mach 4, the caveat, caveat. How do you guys say it? Caveat. I feel like caveat is more of a Midwestern way of saying it. The caveat is that if you're running while traveling, is going to involve some like dirt roads or maybe trails. The Mach 4 is not something that I would necessarily pick, but the Nova Blast 2 could certainly handle it, as could the Escalante. I think the Escalante also, just for me, here's what's when I travel, I don't know what's going on with me, but when I get on an airplane, my foot just balloons up. And so like I've traveled with, if I can't fly, for example, we've been talking about the Pegasus. If I fly with a pair of Pegasus, I got to loosen up all the laces and untie the shoes. So that way, like, it's kind of like when you bring a bag of chips onto an airplane, and if you open it after you're at like cruising altitude, it looks like the bag's about to pop. I feel like that's what happens to my foot while traveling. So like I like to have very roomy shoes, extra roomy shoes if I'm going to be flying in the shoes. So a foot-shaped toe box of an Ultra would be a great choice. When I went to Baltimore, I traveled in the Nova Blast 2. Worked out really well because I feel like that shoe's got a little bit of extra room in there. Trying to think, what was the flight out to? Oh, the flight out to California for Western States, I flew in the Hoka Zinal. That was fine. I'm trying to think. I thought about untying the shoes, but I never got to the point where I had to untie the shoes. So like there was enough room in there for that. For my foot ballooning. All right. Yeah, Lena says compression socks. Maybe I do. They tell pregnant ladies like my wife was traveling quite a bit for work when we were pregnant with our with a daughter. And so like they were telling her that, she needed to make sure she got up and walked around the airplane every so often, and then consider wearing compression socks, so maybe that would help me out a bit. I think I just get dehydrated, and that's part of like my body's response to getting dehydrated. So like I have been making sure that I bring a lot more water when I get on the plane. All right. Matt Wilt says, "Hey, Kofuzi, curious what races are on your horizon after the upcoming tri? After the triathlon, I'll have the Chicago Marathon, and then I'll probably do the Chicago Half Marathon before that. It's usually the 2 weeks before that. But here's the thing: there's another USATF Masters race. The USATF Masters, it's like a 12K. It's like 7 miles at Sandy Hook. So like I used to live in that area in New Jersey, and I'm like, oh, that'd be kind of fun to go back then. But I just don't know if I really want to be doing a ton of traveling. I'll be doing some traveling coming up, but I don't want to, maybe let's not push it until at least we see how things like kind of shake out for the fall. But we're doing the Chicago Marathon, and then I have CIM. So those are the races that I have lined up. It leaves a hole in November. I'd like to do a race in November. I don't know what it'll be. So we'll have to see it kind of on the calendar for that. All right. I saw something from Corey. All right, Corey Villancourt says, "Hey everyone, and Mike, I haven't been in for a while, but want to know your thoughts on the Boston 10s. I like them, but they're kind of weird. Thanks." I think that's a really good way to put it. I like them too. They're very weird. I think that it seems to me that a lot of people do not like them. And I'm wondering, it's like, one of my favorite lines, and there's no gifts for us anywhere. I want to find it on Twitter, but I can't find it. Enemy of the State. With Will Smith and Gene Hackman. And Jack Black is in it as well, as is John Voight. Fantastic movie. I really enjoy that movie. Highly underrated. I think they did a reboot of it or something like that with Shia LaBeouf. I don't know how to say his name. But I don't know if it's related or just the premise was like super similar. But there's a scene in that movie where Gene Hackman is yelling at Will Smith, and he's like, "You're either incredibly smart or incredibly stupid." And I feel like the designers of the Boston 10 is going to be, they're either incredibly smart or incredibly stupid. I'm still not sure which one it is yet. Part of me is thinking, this is a great trainer. That's where I'm leaning. This is a great trainer. It's a fast day shoe. It's not a daily trainer that you could do workouts in anymore. It's a workout shoe. Part of me is like, is this like the Magic Speed? I still like, so both of those shoes, I think, are for the same purpose, workouts. One, I'm leaning towards, this is a good workout shoe, the Boston 10. The other, I'm leaning towards, this is not so great a workout shoe, the Magic Speed. Both of them I still need to give some more time. And that I think is going to be a super interesting comparison video to come out, but we'll see. All right, Lucas H says, I've got a 10-day trip, bringing only one shoe, needed for a 2-hour long run, 3 speed workouts, and easy days. Which shoe? Nova Blast 2, Convar 11, Deviant Nitro, and Endo Speed 1. I'm assuming that if it's, as long as there's not going to be any trails involved in either one, I would go with the Endorphin Speed 1, because it's going to do better on the speed workout, and it won't do that much worse on the long run. For a 2-hour run, yeah, Endorphin Speed. I'm thinking the Endorphin Speed. It might not be as nice on your easy days, but here's the other thing that I would think. If you're not sure between the Nova Blast 2 and the Endorphin Speed, are you going to walk around in this shoe too, if on this 10-day trip? Because if you're going to like walk around, go for walks with family or whoever you're with, go to the store, that kind of thing, then I would bring the Nova Blast 2, and that would be the shoe. But if this is just a running shoe and you've got something else for like the rest of the day, I'd go with the Endorphin Speed 1. All right. Martha says, the trouble with traveling with just one shoe is that you're putting lots of walking miles into a running shoe, and if it's a pricey one, who wants to do that? Yeah, the other thing that's I think is difficult is if it's summertime, and if you're bringing one shoe, then like after your run, you foot sweat during the run, then you take a shower. Like let's say you're at a hotel, you take the shower, you do the thing where you're kind of rinsing off some of your running clothes so they don't completely stink, and then you can try and wring them out and get them dried off. Maybe you'll wear them the next day, kind of thing. At least that's what I do, because I don't like to bring, like, if it's a 6-day trip, I'm not bringing 6 running shorts, But your shoes are still going to be wet and sweaty. So even if you got clean feet, clean socks, putting them in there, you're putting feet into wet shoes. And then that's a guaranteed recipe for uncomfortable feet and super stinky shoes. I did that on a work trip once. After like the third day, it was like a 10-day work trip. By the third day, like I was just wearing my dress. It was I was wearing dress shoes around, even though I didn't need to be wearing dress shoes, because I'm like, I got to give these shoes a break. They were the Peg 35s, the super hot ones. It was like made out of couch material. It's like burlap or something too. And it was a really hot shoe. That one got super stinky. All right. Frank Lahulier says, the Cloud Strata sounds like it is in that same category of workout shoe. I can't see taking it over Endorphin Speed or Nova Blast. Yeah, I wouldn't pick it over those two shoes either, but I think like where I would put it is more of like, if you're looking at the Bondi X and you're looking at the DV8 Nitro, then I think the Cloud Stratus kind of fits in that category. For me, I don't know that I would pick it over either of those two shoes. I mean, I would say like the DV8 Nitro you'd pick as the firmer option if you want something firmer, because it's got like, I don't know if it's full carbon. I think it's got a partial carbon plate, but it's got nitro foam in it, and I just love nitro foams. And then if you want something softer, then you got the Bondi with a plate in it, right? But I feel like the person who likes the on Cloud Stratus is the person who wants a shoe that fits in that category, but loves, say, like a Salomon Sense Ride 3 for the trail. Like I feel like those two shoes would go really well together. Like let's say let's go with the like packing for a trip. I feel like if you love a Salomon Sense Ride 3, and I felt like that was just too firm. I didn't like that shoe, and like the fit was very tight and snug. I felt like it's very, when I think of like European running shoes versus like or made for European markets versus made for American markets, I think of the Sense Ride 3 as like paradigmatic. This Europeans will love this shoe for like their preferences and tastes. So like if you like that, and let's say that's your trail shoe, then like your travel shoe a Cloud Stratus would be a great one. Like I feel like that would be a good one to kind of punch. So that's I think another really good way of describing like what you're getting from the Cloud Stratus. Like I just feel like I mean, you can't. How many like other than like Asics when they've got like a whole like meteorology based lineup like the Stratus, what is it? Nimbus. They've got a whole bunch, right? Don't they? Multiple cloud named shoes. I can't think of them right now. But like if you've got Cloud and Stratus and like Helion, which sounds like helium, like in there, like I feel like the shoe should be super, like it should be goofy bouncy. It should be bouncier than the Nova Blast one if you're gonna name it all those names. But it's not. It's like maybe what like a if like if Solomon made a max cushion shoe and it felt like that, I'd be like, oh yeah, it makes sense. It's a Solomon. That's how they make their shoes. You know, it reminds me a lot of the Predict RA. In fact, now that I think about it, so it's different. And so maybe, you know, in the European market, people will be like, these are great max cushion shoes, not super squishy and messy like those other ones that the Americans like. You know, I think that I could hear that sentence being uttered in like a European group run on a Saturday. But like it's different. And so for me, I didn't like it at that slower speed. And so I wanted to, once I put in the pace and I felt like I was really pushing on that double stack of Helion, then I felt like it worked a lot more. Daniel F says, audiobook question. Have you listened to Crying in H Mart? I have not, but that book sounds awesome. Sounds great to me. I'm gonna have to pick that up. Marchenko says women's marathon is today. Yeah, I think it's gonna be awesome. I'm super curious to see what Aliphine's gonna be like. Also super, because I mean, the other thing is like I kind of have an idea what to expect from Molly Seidel because we've been seeing a lot of, or at least I have, you know, being in the U.S. market, and following her on Instagram and listening to her podcast that she's on and stuff. So I like, you know, I have an idea, but like, there's so many other athletes that I'm just super curious. How are they going to do? How's Sally going to do? I haven't heard like a thing about her since like the marathon trials, you know? So that's why I'm super curious. And then, I mean, you've got Ruth Chepengedich, Kipyego. It's stacked, super stacked. Lucas says, "What is my size?" No, she doesn't have her own podcast, but she was on The Drop. She's been making the rounds on the podcasts. So The Drop is the one that I listened to most recently, I think, of hers. So she's been on, and so like she's out there, and so like, you know, she's been promoting Puma like crazy. She's doing a great job. All right. Lawson Run says, one camera to use for all your runs. The one to rule them all is the GoPro. There's certain things that it can't do, but the things that an action camera has to do, it does really well. So if I'm only going to bring one, that's the one. All right. Marchenko says, crying in H Mart. It means H Mart's the grocery store. I assume that's what it means. It's got to be. I'm hoping it's some sort of... Is H Mart a Korean company that has grocery stores in the US, or is H Mart a Korean American thing? I actually don't know. I'm hoping crying in H Mart is some sort of Korean American immigrant story kind of thing. We'll see. Daniel M says, it's an amazing book. I cried on a treadmill. Well, it sounds good. I like it. All right. Let's see. Frank says Molly Strava has been funny because she keeps doing those loops in the O Village. Yeah, it's not in the Olympic Village. It's in Sapporo. She's up in Sapporo and she's been doing the same concrete loop, right? Is that the ones you're talking about, Frank? Yeah. Have you seen footage of that? It looks like it just looks like an old asphalt blacktop track that has been like that people found that no one's been taking care of for decades. And it's like the blacktop, the concrete is peeling and it just looks super gross. But that's all the marathoners and the race walkers have had to train in because they've been sequestered from everything. By the way, I was texting my sister today at 4:43 in the morning. 43, there's a number, 43 always pops up. I was texting my sister 4:43 in the morning today, and I was like, hey, do you get to eat in the Olympic Village? Because she works for NBC Sports and she goes to the Olympics as part of her job. And I was really hoping that she says she does. Because I was like, can you send me pictures of everything you eat from here to the end of the games? And it's not that much more time. But I would have been really disappointed in a way if I hadn't thought to ask her about that sooner. But she told me that the media stays separate from the athletes, and that's not just during disc games; it's during all the games, which makes sense. I think that a big thing always for the games is that like you don't want to accidentally get sick from something that someone else has, because you got all these athletes coming from all over the world. And like, I don't know about you, but when I'm getting ready for a marathon, by the time I get to marathon day, I'm like on a knife's edge, like of being in like the best shape of my life, and I'm being about to fall apart physically, immunologically, emotionally. You know what I mean? I'm just like at that razor's edge. So it's like, you take hundreds of athletes that are like that, put them in a small confined space, and like I feel like people getting sick. It's a story that's come up many times, like people getting food poisoning, people having like stomach issues, vomiting like the night before a big race, that kind of thing. So I imagine like it's a big concern. I mean, I've heard stories about like Team USA always trying to sequester itself at other Olympics, and eat only like the food that it brings, which has to be like a logistical nightmare. But yeah, they do that. But I was really hoping, because then if she's like, yeah, I'm at the thing every day, I'm at the Olympic Village dining hall every day, I was going to pitch my idea that they should do mixed zone interviews, like right after an athlete comes out of like the buffet line, because I would just love to see like what are the throwers eating, and like what's their tray of food look like. Is it just a mound of food, and then like this is just round one, I'm going to go back again, or is it like, and like, or like what do the clay shooters eat? What do the regatta boat swim like sailors? I don't even know what to call those athletes. Like, what do all these people eat? What are these people eating? I want to know. I want to know, like, if someone's like, yeah, I never had sushi before, so I had some of this sushi today. I compete tomorrow, so hopefully I don't regret it. Like, I would love to just hear that. Like, I really want to hear it, like mixed zone interviews. Like, yeah, you know what? Normally I eat salads and everything every day, quinoa bowls and stuff, but I competed yesterday, so today I went through the pasta line. I had all the fettuccine alfredo I could find. Or like have a bunch of Italians going like, what is this fettuccine alfredo? What is this? And just getting like all mad at like the pasta bar. Like, like why I feel the more I think about it, the more I'm enraged that this like isn't a thing. Like, why don't we know more about like the dining hall? I want to know what's going on. Maybe that's just me. Emma says, saw YouTube from Michaela Skinner, the gymnast, and she was saying that all she was eating was salad and nutrient bars because she didn't want to change things up. Yeah, I mean, I think before your race, before you compete, it's ludicrous to be like, oh, I'm going to experiment. Like if we were like at like the Sochi games, like in for the Winter Olympics, and you're like, yeah, what's this borscht? I'm going to try that. Like for the first time, like I wouldn't do that before your first time you're going to compete at the Olympic level, but afterwards, yeah, I'm going to go for it. But Emma also follows up, like, how sad to be in Tokyo and not eat all the amazing food. Yeah, I mean, it stinks for Tokyo because, like, I think that's a big part of like the tourism is not only just the tour, like the people spectating, but also the athletes and the teams. Everyone goes out and celebrates and eats in the local restaurants, but I don't think they can do any of that now. So it's a big bummer. Martha says, regarding getting sick around marathon time, I read that people are most vulnerable in 24 hours after running the marathon. So that's when they should be super careful in the usual hygiene ways. Yeah, I'm always like sick right after a marathon. I'm sometimes sick leading up to a marathon. I think I got sick leading up to the marathon in 2019. I definitely did not dress well enough. It was super cold at the night, and there was like this pop-up event at Soldier Field, and like after that, it just felt like crap. And you know what? We didn't have access to like forehead thermometers and stuff, so I don't know, but I felt like I maybe had a fever that day. And Martha says, before the marathon, if you taper right, you shouldn't be as vulnerable. Well, I mean, I think that's probably correct, but I very rarely taper right. All right. Maddie Mac says, yo, broke 20 minutes for the first time in the 5K today. Let's go. All right. Well, where is it? Where's the cowbell? This is the cowbell. Here we go. We haven't had the cowbell in a long time. I remember it. There it is. Good job, Maddie Mac. Awesome. Great work. All right, Jesse Storbeck says, would higher drop shoes help Achilles discomfort? Never considered myself a Brooks Ghost kind of runner, but I would run in Crocs if they got me to my marathon start uninjured. You know, I'm not sure on that one. I would I would lean towards yes, because then if you have a lower drop shoe, then you're going to put more. Um, I can't even bend my elbow the correct way to show you guys this, but it may. But I wouldn't. I mean, if the higher stack height is the only thing that's keeping you from having Achilles discomfort, I think that like there's other issues that I think you need to worry about, and you got to figure out where you're getting that Achilles pain from. But the Brooks Ghost definitely has a tall stack height. Mizuno shoes have giant stack heights. A lot of them are 12 millimeter stack height shoes or more. So that would be some places to look. I don't know. Have any of you guys have an experience with that? All right. Emma says, Emily Heller was saying she's going to train with lemon lime Gatorade since that's what's at Chicago. Do y'all do that? I put Noon in my bottle and drink water and goo. I haven't really worried too much about like what's on the race course. I know people say that, but like I think I'm lucky that my gut is pretty ambivalent towards what I put in it. And so it's just like whatever, just give it to me. So like I like knock on wood, I haven't had problems with like, oh, this Powerade at this race. Other than the fact that I don't think Powerade tastes very good. Like stomach wise, nutritionally, I've been fine with it. But it is something that I typically hear get recommended a lot. So if I think it makes a difference if your stomach is sensitive to things, to make sure that you're used to it. So that way it's not a surprise when you get to the race, because that's not the kind of surprise that you want to have. Emily also is considering wearing, I don't know if I could, maybe I'm scooping something I'm not supposed to, but I think she's considering wearing some Alpha Flies for the race, for the Chicago Marathon. I'm worried about that. I mean, I think it's a great choice because I always think the Alpha Flies are a great choice for the marathon. But if her plantar fasciitis is, actually, I need to tell her this. If her plantar fasciitis has been acting up, I'm not sure how well that shoe does for that. I don't know. Yeah. Let's see. Daniel says, "Is Noon your favorite powder mix?" I like Noon. I like the Noon Endurance. I also like the Noon After. It's got the branch chain amino acids, so I like the recovery mix as well. Both of them are pretty good. My favorite Noon is just the tablet, plop plop fizz fizz. Just for your. It's not sugar, but it's electrolytes, and it's tasty, and it's good at the end of the day with some ice. Especially summertime. So definitely good for that. I enjoy that. I didn't like. I'm drinking the UCAN. It's okay. I just finished some Huma recover like just hydration mix, not hydration, electrolyte mix. Didn't really like it. So the Honey Stinger one, I've been enjoying their recovery drink, but it's got a lot of sugar in it. So like when I think about like the electrolyte drinks, I think of something that I just want to be able to drink a bunch of all day and not worry about the sugar. So that's why I do like this, like Noon. Otherwise, I'm like Noon. Oh, does it have sugar in it? I kind of want. There's times when I do want sugar. So that's the thing I always have to be careful with Noon. James Aylward says in the Olympic Village, the swimmers would be the biggest eaters. I could see that. I could definitely see that. I'm so hungry when I get out of the pool. I feel like if if I were in the Olympic Village and it's like dining hall and I was sitting down and like a bunch of swimmers sat down next to me, I'd be like, is it just me, guys, or do you guys get super hungry after you swim? I feel like I would just want to ask him a bunch of dumb swimmer questions because I have so many, So I don't know. I think that'd be funny. I think it'd be really funny to do. I just really want to. I mean, I want to live in the Olympic Village. I want to live in the Olympic Village. I do. I'm not interested in the partying aspect of it. I know that there's a big part to that, but I just want to it's like a super strange, bizarro summer camp / superhero training facility. I just think that it's so weird that I'm having a hard time like wrapping my head around it in a lot of ways. But I bet like if I get there, I'd be like, oh, it's like a food court. I don't know. I'm not sure. Adam Pierce says, "Have you tried Element?" I haven't. I see the Instagram ads for it, but I've heard it Rich Roll talked about it a lot. Here's the thing: I love Rich Roll, but I have he's like an anti-influencer for me. Like when Rich Roll recommends something, I'm like, I don't know if I want that. I don't know what it is about him. I love the guy. I listen to him every week. I listen to the Roll On podcast all the way to the end, and sometimes it's like 3 hours long. But like I when he like talks about something, I mean, he was with On Shoes for a while, and that kind of like kept me away from On. And then now he's with Solomon, and I don't love Solomon shoes generally. So I'm like, oh, okay, well, I won't be running. Not because of Rich Roll that I won't be running Solomon shoes, but I'm just more aware of what I do and don't like. But like, I don't know. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is about it. It's kind of, is that weird? That's weird, right? Do you guys have any anti-influencers, people that you like, but like when they're like, yeah, like he makes like the coffee, the mushroom coffee. He not makes, but he talks about the mushroom coffee. Like I have no interest in mushroom coffee. I don't know if it's because of him or no, but it might be. I don't know. It's weird. Lena says, you're not a fan of UCAN? Good to know. Think about trying it after the Believe in the Run podcast. I like the UCAN gels. I like the UCAN little candy bars that they have. Those are also pretty. I like to eat those before a run. Those are great before a run. Light on the stomach, small size, but a decent like a little burst of their slow release sugars. So I like to have them on board before I go out for a run. Great, good stuff. I've not tried their drink mix for running, so that I don't have it. But I've tried their like electrolyte mix, so like their post run mix, not a recovery mix, but just like kind of like their noon competitor, and that's the one I didn't like. Looks like my mom's here. Hi, Mom. How are you? Hope you're doing well. Daniel says, "Did you see that movie filmed in the Olympic Village by Lexi Pappas?" I haven't. I've heard about it. I mean, I know. I only know about it. I vaguely remember seeing like some trailers for it at some point, but I really only know about it because she talked about it in her book. And so like I'm aware that this movie exists. And I think maybe part of my like obsession with the Olympic Village is because she talks very like wistfully about her experience in the Olympic Village, and I just want to like not recreate that, but I want to see what that's all about. Kind of, I don't know. I'm not sure. But that definitely informed some of my obsession with the Olympic Village. Martha says she tested the element-free sample and she likes it, but not better than Scratch. But it has more salt. Oh, I sometimes add salt to the Scratch. You do? That's an idea. Is that something you guys all knew about? I never thought about that. But like, I like the Gatorade Endurance mix because it has more salt than regular Gatorade. It has a little bit more sugar, but it has more salt, and more potassium, I believe. So like, I'm like, oh, good. That's what I like. So the Gatorade Endurance formula, I like. The cost per serving can't be beat. Like I feel like my running has been a lot cheaper this summer because I've been drinking my sugars rather than eating them in gels. So that's been nice. But maybe I'll start putting salt in stuff. That's a great idea. All right. Someone following up on the Rich Roll comment I made. Daniel says, Rich Roll seems like a great guy, but kind of insufferable. I'm thinking here about the chaga tea. Yeah. I mean, I think that I think he definitely has that. Some people would definitely react to him that way. Yeah. I mean, I think what's been really eye-opening about him is you're getting more of like when I listen to the Roll On podcast, he just does kind of like a current events kind of thing. Like more of a podcast, like a regular, like a weekly podcast with Adam Skolnick, and they just have like two dudes talking kind of thing. In to balance out like his regular like long form conversations with other like thought leaders kind of thing. And you're getting like you get to see more nuance of him for better and worse, and so it's been really eye-opening, and I've been enjoying it. Like the vulnerability that he's like not exposing himself, but the he's letting us in that kind of way, and I've been enjoying that. But so there's some ways where it's definitely a lot of that, but in some ways that it's very much not like that too, and it's surprising. So I've been kind of enjoying that. I would love to be able to interview Adam. I was thinking today that like I should try to reach out to Adam Skolnick and see if I can interview Adam Skolnick about being like a weekly, like, what do they call it? The foil, not the foil, but like the other in a tag team, to Rich Roll. That's got to be a really unusual experience. And I'd love to just know more about that. But I also feel like he'd be like, everywhere I go, all people do is they never ask me about me. They only want to know about Rich Roll. So I don't want to be like yet another person that does that. Because I am interested in Adam Skolnick too. He's leading quite an interesting life. All right. Sorry, this is me just kind of like daydreaming. Brian Battaglia says, doing the Cherry Blossom 10 miles in September. Cool. Can I do my neighborhood 5K the day before? It will be hard to participate and not go hard. Oh, well, I think that you could definitely do both. There's certainly no problem with that. But I would say I would pick one that you're going to go hard in, So I would say probably do your neighborhood 5K, go hard. And then for the Cherry Blossom 10 mile, go out there, have fun. You could probably even go like at a relatively quick clip, but I don't think you're going to necessarily PR in it. I wouldn't anticipate it. But at that time of year, it's going to be beautiful. So go enjoy the view and have a great time at the run. But you could do both for sure. But I would only anticipate doing like race in one and, enjoy the other. Not that racing isn't enjoyable. All right. Maddie Mac says, first marathon, carbon plate or keep it basic? I would say that's totally up to you. I don't think that there's necessarily a right or wrong answer for that. If you want to have that carbon, go get that carbon. If you don't, totally awesome too. And these days there's so many great options. Like before it used to be like, all right, you can go and get the carbon or you can run in your daily trainer. Like that seemed to be like the options. There were some in there, but it wasn't as robust in terms of the offerings. But now there's just so much more. And so there's so many things to choose from. So, that's going to be up to you. Daniel M says, I'll bet Goggins uses salt tabs and gunpowder to fuel. Am I totally off on this? I was thinking that do people ever take salt tabs like right before a race? I thought I remember hearing that like a big jolt of salt, as bad as it sounds for you, it sounds very counterintuitive. I guess like me growing up in like the 80s and 90s where everything was low sodium, but like having a jolt of salt is like has almost a stimulant like effect on your system from like an endurance perspective. Has anyone else heard that? Or am I making that up? All right, let's see. My Korean reading is really bad. 세상을 무단 횡단 says, hi Kofuzi, thank you for the live stream. Quick question. I tried the Brooks Elite 2, and it was not so satisfactory. Do you know why? I'm not sure. I don't know if maybe you can be more specific. Oh, okay. More specifics. Some people say beginners should not wear Alpha Fly, but I've been wearing Alpha Fly from the very beginning of my running. I had no injuries at all thanks to Alpha Fly. What do you think? I think that running in the Alpha Fly is fine. I think beginners can wear the Alpha Fly. It's one of the things that's so remarkable about Nike's Carbon and the Zoom X put together is that it's much more accessible than something, for example, like the Hyperion Elite 2. The Hyperion Elite 1, that's a whole different story, but the Hyperion Elite 2, I feel like the Carbon on that was nice. A lot of people, I think, could probably, access it and get a benefit from it. But that Hyperion, but their DNA Flash midsole foam isn't soft and squishy like Zoom X foam is. So for some people, like they didn't like that because if you're thinking you're going to get an Alpha Fly type of experience, a lot of shoes out there are not trying to mimic that Alpha Fly or even like a Vaporfly 4% type experience. They're doing something different. And so I think for some people, that's why they didn't like the Hyperion Elite 2, because when you're going fast, I think it's great. When you're going slow, it's very firm, and some people could be very turned off by that. Frank says yes to the boost of salt can be a stimulant. Okay. And Daniel says, "When you took a shot of soy sauce, would that work?" Yeah. How much soy sauce? But I was thinking like a double salt tab, just like, one last swig from the water bottle, 2 salt tabs at once. Is that what's? I mean, like, what's the LD? How many salt tabs before it's gonna really hurt you? And how much do you need for it to benefit you? That's I love experimenting on myself, but I'm not sure I'm willing to do that one, because I feel like that one's going to just really mess you up if you overdo it. I feel like it's going to give you jitters and you'll be really uncomfortable and sweaty. But Frank says he doesn't. Wait, he says he's heard of people doing the salt. Yes, but he doesn't think it's a stimulant. Yeah. Alex Douglas says, "Is that a Ben Parks hat?" It is. Ben Parks. It says "getting it done." I like the black on black. See, it's hard to tell what I'm wearing unless you know what you're looking at. That's my favorite kind of thing. James Edwards said, "For the Paris Games, perhaps Jamie and Kofuzi do coverage from the Olympic Village fun times." Can you imagine if they let us do that? I feel like no. For the Olympics, it would be like they would send Kevin Hart and Snoop Dogg. That would actually be pretty fun to send Snoop and Kevin Hart through like the Olympic Village dining hall, or like along the Seine. I mean, I'm sure he's been to Paris. I think for both of them had been to Paris, so it's not like Beverly Hillbillies. But like, I think that'd be kind of funny if they did something like that over there. Like, do you think that originally NBC had like Kevin Hart and Snoop like originally set to do like a Japanese tea ceremony? I bet you they did. I bet you had something like that lined up, and then like this was the next best thing to have them narrate dressage or commentate dressage. But I think that would be super fun to do. Yeah. I just think the Olympic Village is such a fun concept, such a weird concept. All right. Robert Morano says, "How are your Lone Peaks holding up? Have you put them through any gnarly trails, wet stuff? I really want to work an alternate to my rotation, but the durability and grip are a major concern." Yeah, I mean, you guys have seen in my videos like where I've been running, and so like there's nothing that I do that's going to be super gnarly. And if it were, I would be like, I don't think I'm supposed to be out here, because like, isn't it really bad for the trails if you're going through it and it's really muddy? Like, isn't that bad for like the ecosystem as far as like ecological impact? So like, if I were somewhere and it was like just absolute bog of mud, I'd be like, I feel bad tearing through here. I know that's what trail shoes are designed to do, and some people are going to be like, "What are you talking about?" And in a lot of the trails where I was going in Iowa, a lot of people either out there on mountain bikes or ATVs or trucks or those weird four-wheelers. Not the ATVs, but basically like the gas powered, like the super golf cart things. I don't know what those are called, but they're super popular in Iowa. As are just regular golf carts for people to just drive around a town, which I'm having a hard time understanding. But yeah, so like I don't go anywhere super muddy, and I don't do any scrambling. I would say light to moderate trail. That's how I would say. And the Lone Peaks are holding up really well. I think I've got like 80 miles in them at this point. I really like them a lot. But there are like the Lone Peak 5s seem a little big to me. And so anytime things do get a little bit technical in terms of like the terrain that I'm stepping on, a lot of tree roots and rocks and like uneven terrain and inclines, declines, I always feel like here's the shoe, and I feel like my foot is always kind of moving around in it a little bit. So like the shoe might be like trying to get traction on the mud, and then my foot might slide like to one side or the other. I feel like a little bit loosey goosey in there. The plus side of that though is that when the terrain isn't very technical and I'm not trying to go very fast, it's just a very comfortable ride. It's just very pleasant to be in them. So I really like them a lot. I like walking around in them as well. Going hiking with the kids in them, great shoe. So like they're very livable. It's just when things get a little bit more intense, a little bit more aggressive, that's when I'm like, I wish this were I mean, I guess I could just on those days where I know that's going to happen, really like wrench down on the laces a little bit and try to get a better fit. But I just feel like sometimes I wish it were a little bit more dialed in. But on the most part, I think that that's what it is. I don't think it's a fault of the shoe. It's doing exactly what it wants. It's executing what it's intended to do well. But there's just some kind of like drawbacks to that. So, but overall, I've been really enjoying it. All right. Matthew McCarthy says, Saucony rides on clearance, so can you give them a shot? Nice. Do they fit similar to Hoka? Hokas are narrow. Well, Hoka can be all over the place sometimes. I wouldn't say all over the place, but there's some variability there. And I'm not sure that it's so much that it's like they're narrow. I think that Hokas, because their outsoles are so like outlandish, that people think that like the toe box also going to be like just big and just clunky, not clunky, but like just super voluminous. And they're not. They're snug. They're like what I would say like running shoe snug for the most part, at least for everything that I've seen for this year. So like, I think that's what it is. But as far as sizing goes, I always go with the same sizes and everything. Andrew Pasa says, there's this one guy from the running channel whose favorite shoes are all the ones that have slipping issues or break his ankles. Which guy on the running channel is that? I don't know. Adam Fear says about the muddy trails. He says it's bad to be on muddy trails in the arid Southwest. In the Southeast, they want you on wet trails to keep the growth down. Oh, okay. I mean, I've seen people doing like fell running in the UK and stuff like that, where you're not necessarily going on a trail. It's just muddy everywhere. So I guess that's where you need the muddy like type of shoes. But I continue, like I just don't live in it, and I don't have experience or live in an area where like I encounter mud a lot, where I'm like, gotta get through it. So like I don't know. I guess I just need more experience out there. New Betcher said it's considered bad form on mountain bikes to go out when it's all muddy. That's awful for the trails. That's what I would think. Because I just remember my main experience with that is when I was doing that Ragnar relay in the Tetons. And they were like, we're really concerned about our ecological impact here. And so if you see a puddle, go through the puddle, don't go around the puddle on a single track, because then it will widen the trail, and we want to keep the trail as narrow as possible. So I was like, oh, that's interesting. I'm glad they told me that, because otherwise I would have gone around. And then like a lot of things were about like when you're passing someone, like be mindful of how much time you're trying to pass around them, wait if you can till when it's not single track, all sorts of stuff like that. And so like I don't want to be like out there in the woods like I really got to test out these trail shoes, guys, and then all of a sudden get yelled at by people about like, get off of that part of the trail. It's not the trail. Like when I was up in at Western States for the start of the race goes up like the ski slope, and I was like, I'm pretty sure we're on a ski slope. Like I'm pretty sure that normally everything that's around here is covered in snow when it's winter time. So I'm like, I don't think that I'm on like a delicate like prairie grass or whatever kind of grasses there were in the area. But I wanted to cut across a hill to get from one spot to another so I can get two shots. And I ran right across, and I was really worried that people were going to be like, what the heck are you doing, you idiot? I mean, I'm sure people were thinking that to me anyway, not necessarily even because of where I was running, but because I stick out and I don't know what I'm doing. But I'm always like I don't want to inadvertently do something that everyone knows you're not supposed to do. So that's just one of my things. So I guess I'm a little bit just gun shy when it comes to really trying to push some of these trail shoes. Frank says there's no problem running off trail there. It's sand. Yeah, like I feel like when I see people running in Colorado and they're above the tree line and they're like, "Yep, we're gonna follow this trail up to the peak," and like the camera pans and there's just like rocks. I'm like, "What trail? What trail are you guys following? You're just gonna run up some more rocks." Like how I don't understand that. So there's definitely places where I suppose there isn't necessarily like a single track, but I think I just need to get out there more and experience more. All right. I think it's a good place to leave it for today, guys. I've been having a lot of fun today. I could go for a lot longer, but got to get ready. Women's marathon, Olympic marathon coming up, I think in 2 hours, right? Did we say that 2 hours until the women's Olympic marathon? So going to get ready for that. Going to try and figure out a way to start cooking dinner now. So that way I don't have to like interrupt it. I suppose I could just pause it while we're eating. I'll probably have to pause it while we're eating dinner anyway, but I'll be watching. Hopefully you guys will be watching. Tomorrow's video, like I said, is going to be talking about the Pegasus, the custom one versus the stock off the shelf. And then, but I won't do any live streams over the weekend. So the next time I'll see you guys in live stream will be on Monday. We'll do another Monday mukbang. I'm going to try to get some power bars. So we can do some power bar tasting. That one's I feel like it's going to be like a jaw workout for that one. That one's going to be tough. But I think it'll be fun. So hopefully I'll see you guys on Monday, same time as today, 1 p.m. Central Time. In the meantime, have a great weekend of running out there, guys. Thanks.